Okay, let's go.
Of Eternia, defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said,
Thunder! 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 Thundercats! Ho!
Hello, Bots and Books fans, this is Scorp1701, and at long last, we have finally come to the Masters of the Universe Thundercats crossover deluxe Skell-Ra figure. Yes! After Target completely killed my pre-order, I found him at Walmart, so Walmart for the win. Now, that's very unusual that Walmart will come in first on certain objects, but here he is. I am very happy to have him, and tonight we are going to be able to finish off what I would consider the first wave of the Masters of the Universe Thundercats crossover figures, and this is going to be an awesome figure to take a look at. So, jumping right into the packaging, you can see it is in a huge open window box. You have at the very top Masters of the Universe X Thundercats with the stones coming around, a lot of explosions and rocks going everywhere. And in the box you can see Skell-Ra, and you can see his accessories, which turn into Mumm-Ra. You have Skell-Ra, the ever-living evil of Eternia. Mattel down here at the bottom. On the top of the box, it's just a continuation. On the right side of the box, you have the evil Mumm-Ra and Thundercats. On the left side of the box, you have Skeletor and Masters of the Universe. On the bottom of the box, you have some awesome credits for the box and a barcode. And I will zoom in real close so you can take a look at that barcode. That will help you find this guy on the shelf, hopefully. But there is plenty of them at Walmart in that huge toy display if they have them in your area. Alright, coming around to the back of the packaging, you have a beautiful piece of artwork here and a read up here to the left, and I will scroll in and you can read that to your heart's content, but we must be going on. And again, taking a look at that awesome artwork, you have Skeletor and he is being transformed into Skell-Ra, and you have the ancient spirits of evil up here to the right, and that is so cool. Coming down, you do have a little bit of product shot, and this will show you how to transform or head swap Skeletor and Mumm-Ra. And there is Mumm-Ra in his toy form with his Sword of Plundar, and it says includes 2 character cards we'll take a look at in just a moment, and the rest of the figures of the wave, which we have already taken a look at, which are Lion-O, Chitara, and Battle Catman. And those are some great figures. And this is going to be a great figure. And that is going to be Skell-Ra in the packaging. But I don't want to see Skell-Ra in the packaging. I know you don't. So let's get this guy out and see how evil he can be. And here we have Skell-Ra out of the packaging, and out of the packaging he stands at approximately 7.5 inches tall. He comes with these awesome character cards depicting Skeletor and Mumm-Ra. He comes with Mumm-Ra's parts, he comes with the Sword of Plundar, and he comes with this little diagram that helps you transform Skell-Ra into Mumm-Ra. So that is really neat. And Skell-Ra, like a lot of the other Masters of the Universe origin type figures, does come apart into a lot of pieces. Add in Mumm-Ra's, and then you got a whole ton of pieces there to mix and match into some sort of abomination. But anyway, that is Skell-Ra and everything in his packaging. If you're interested in knowing how Skeletor became Skell-Ra, all you have to do is pick up one of the other figures in the line, and they come with this awesome little comic book. If you don't want to do that, just check out one of my other reviews on Lion-O, Battle Catman, or Shitara, and you'll see a review of this comic book. So you can do that at your leisure. But right now, I want to take a closer look at Skell-Ra, the ever-living. And starting off, we are going to take a look at the base body. There's not going to be any armor on it, and it's going to start with the Skeletor head. So, taking a look at the Skeletor head, it is basically what you'd expect when you're talking about Skeletor. A yellowish skull, and you have some nice black eyes with some very cool red pupils in there. Nice blacked out nose. He has a jaw that is open, and you can see his ghastly little teeth in there, and you can see inside the mouth there's nothing really in there. The sculpt of the head is really good. You got some molded detail on the side of the skull. The back is basically just solid and smooth like that, and that is going to be your head sculpt. If we zoom out, we can see his upper body and torso, and it is basically going to be a blue body, and you have the blue standard arms coming down to some nice blue hands. You have the double serpent symbol on his chest, which I guess is the symbol that the ancient spirits of evil will give you when they bestow their power upon you. Nice abs and molded detail in the body. Coming down, he has some red shorts, and the legs are a standard blue, and they are broken up with the upper leg and then the lower leg, and then you have some nice boots. We'll scroll in on the boots. The boots are done in a couple different colors. You got this kind of a bronzy color for the armor pieces and a little tan for the insides. I like that. And on the top of the feet, you have some nice yellow fur coming down to some long pointy toes, and I like that. Very Mumm-Ra-esque, and I'm sure Skeletor-ish too. Coming to the bottom of the figure, you got some copyright detail on there and some peg holes for him to post other places. And on the back of the figure, nothing that you would not expect. So that is really neat. It's a good base body for both a Skeletor and a Mumm-Ra figure, but I don't think we're going to get a basic Skeletor out of this guy. We are going to get Skell-Ra, and this is about as close as a regular Skeletor as we're going to get, and there's really nothing here that screams to you a Skeletor other than his face being a yellow skull. But anyway, that's what the standard body with the Skeletor head looks like. Alright, moving on. And for articulation, starting with Skell-Ra's head can go around 360 degrees. He can look down a little ways, he can look up a little ways, and he can wiggle waggle left and right. And if you come in real close on his head and his jaw, it is softly articulated to where it can actually go up and down a little bit, but it's not going to stay there. So you could basically just mimic him talking. You boob. So that is pretty neat if you want to do that. Soft enough to open and close. Coming back to the shoulders. Shoulders can come up from the body and then back down. They can go around 360 degrees. You do not have a bicep rotation here, but you got a nice elbow bend. Not exactly 90 degrees, about 45. That's okay. And that is built into a forearm rotation, 360 degrees there. Coming down to his hand, and the hand is articulated 360 degrees. It is also hinged, so at this point it can hinge in, it can hinge out, and if you move it around, it can hinge up and down, however you want to do it. That is pretty cool. Coming to the center of the body, there is no ab crunch or upper diaphragm rotation. You do get a waist articulation of 360 degrees there. Coming to his legs, legs can go up just a hair, not too much. That's kind of depressing. Back, not much at all because the butt gets in the way. And out to the side, you get a little more articulation than either up or down. So that is neat. Coming to the thigh rotation, not much there. You kind of get half a click going in and then back out. So, it is negligible. Coming down, you do get a knee bend, which is a little better than the elbow bend, I think, because it comes up a little more. And then you have a lower leg articulation, which will go around 360 degrees. And that will bring you down to the actual boot rotation. And the boot rotation is independent, and it will go around 360 degrees as well. And that will bring us to the foot. And the foot is hinged, so it can go down a little bit, it can go up a little bit, it can rock around the world 360 degrees. So yeah, a lot of neat stuff for Skell-Ra here in his base body mode. Now, it is important to note that when you get certain armor pieces on, you will lose some of your articulation. So I wanted to do the articulation with all of the armor off so you could see without any hindrance what kind of articulation he does have. All right, and that is Skell-Ra's articulation. Moving on. And now, without further ado, let's get Skell-Ra armored up. And to do that, we're going to be taking a look at this awesome armor, starting with his head and chest piece. And coming in real close on Skell-Ra's head and chest armor, this is really nicely done. It is a single piece. Starting at the front of it, you can see a nice crest here, which is indicative of Mumm-Ra and his crest. You do have these awesome greenish yellow horns. Now, I think they really missed a good opportunity here to make these glow in the dark. I mean, they look like they would be glow in the dark, but I tried it. They're not glow in the dark. But it seems like also, every time Skeletor powers up, he gets some sort of crazy horns going on. Remember in the Masters of the Universe Revelations cartoon when he got the sort of power and became Skelegod, he had those crazy horns. And the same thing here, he's got some nice horns. And anyway, they are attached to this nice purple hood, which is very indicative of Skeletor, and then his head will stick right out there. Coming down, you'd have some nice shoulder pieces that are molded as one, but you can see that they are sculpted to kind of be individual straps or something, and each of them has a nice little skull at the end of the points. That is really neat. I don't know if you can see that. And then coming down to the center of the armor, you have the double snake symbol of the ancient spirits of evil. That is nicely done. And they painted some goldish coloring on the bottom of his straps. Coming to the back of this piece, you do have two ports here, and that is to port on his cape / wings, which we'll get to in just a moment. And this will basically connect from the bottom here and connect right there. And the easiest way to want to put this on is just take him apart from his waist and just slide this on, and it will fit right nicely, and you could strap it on to the back. And there you go, having him with his head and his chest armor on. And at this point, you will not be able to move his head very well. I mean, you could put your thumb in there and try to move it around, but it's not going to be able to move because of the hooded piece, and that's kind of a bummer. Anyway, that is his headpiece and his chest armor. And with his chest protected, let's move down to his waist. And taking a close look at his waist armor, it's nicely done. It is a single piece. Up at the top, you have a nice belt section. It's done in a bronzy colored paint. Got a nice skull with some horns on the front of the buckle there, coming around to the sides. It does go all the way around to the back, and then coming down you have little pieces of leather, again molded as a single piece, but like the shoulder pieces, they are individually sculpted to make it look like they should be individual pieces. Each of them have little skulls on the end. Again, that is really nice. And when you get down to the bottom of the main section, you have the skulls, but they are painted in gold. And then you have this middle skull, which really stands out because not only is he gold, he does have some horns coming straight up. And that is pretty neat. And that is the same motif all the way around. Even here, you have the same motif, but it's not picked out in gold on the back with those 3 skulls at the bottom. And that is really neat. And the only way to get this onto a Skell-Ra is to take him apart at the waist and just slide this on and then put him back together. And that is his waist armor. And really neat. And finally, that will bring us to his cape / wings. And coming in real close on this cape are wings. I'm not really sure because they could be either. The way they're designed, they look really cool. When you put them together, they could be like a cape. But if you put them out to the sides, they can be like almost like wings, and that is really cool. But before we talk about that and put them on, how are you going to determine how to put them on? Now, on the purple side, which is where you'll need to have them for Skell-Ra, there isn't really any indication. You just have a lot of cool detail in these wings, and they're tattered, so that is really cool. But when you turn them around to the red side, which is indicative of Mumm-Ra, and you look up here at the tabs, you will see that each of the little wings has a letter, and you're going to have a little R right here, and then you're going to have a L right here. So that will tell you which side of the armor harness that the wing is going to go into. So yeah, you don't have to do it that way. If you think it looks better the other way, that's okay too. But the way they have it set up is they will kind of fold in on themselves if you put them in the right way, and that looks neat. And then they can kind of spread out if you want them to, and give it a more like wing effect. So you can see Skell-Ra here with his wings, and that looks really cool. And that is going to be the last of Skell-Ra's armor and accessories. Moving on. And for comparison, here you have Skell-Ra with the Super 7 Skeletor and the Mattel Cartoon Collection He-Man. Now, these are both Mattel figures, so they would be along the same type of scale, whereas the Super 7 Skeletor here, I think, would be a little shorter. So the Cartoon Collection Skeletor may come up to about here, a little higher, and be about shoulder length with Skell-Ra like He-Man is. But this one's not. Now, Skell-Ra should have come with at least a Havoc staff. So if we try to give him this Havoc staff, it's going to be a little small for him. But, I mean, at least it's something and that he can have. Oh, wait. I got an idea. What if we give him the Super 7 Ultimate Mumm-Ra staff? Look at that. That looks good. And he can hold that. And yeah, that is awesome. So that's something that he could have. This actually came with the mummy version of Mumm-Ra in the Super 7. But I think that looks neat for him to have and hold. Cool. Alrighty. And for comparison, here we have Skell-Ra with the Thundercats all armored up, and this is a good looking group of figures, and it's gonna be a very, very cool fight. Yes, sir. I still like that staff that he stolen from Mumm-Ra. That is very cool. Alright, and for comparison, here you have the Thundercats in their regular attire fighting Skell-Ra, and this is really neat. I love the standard Thundercats. I still think this was a very neat idea to have the Thundercats in a regular form and then have their armor. As far as Battle Catman goes, there's not much you could do with him because that's pretty much how he comes, and he still looks good with all his battle armor. And that is really cool. And that has been a look at Skell-Ra, the ever-living evil of Eternia. But don't go anywhere yet, because this review is just getting started. For now, it is time to take a look at the predecessor of the ancient spirit of evil's power, the evil Mumm-Ra. And coming in real close with the Mumm-Ra head on the base body, this is a beautiful Mumm-Ra head. It is sculpted and molded exactly how Mumm-Ra should be. It just screams Mumm-Ra, the ever-living. Alright, maybe it doesn't scream that, and maybe it shouldn't. So, taking a look at the head, first off, he has this beautiful helmet, and it is sculpted and molded really well. You got this huge crest coming off the front of it, coming down in a nice bronzy color. It's going off to the sides, and it comes down at the sides of the helmet. That is really cool, and the gold does carry through all the way to the back, and you can see it does have a base of black, and these nice red strips of mummy bandage. Is really cool. Let's zoom out. You have the purple snakes up here top. They're sculpted facing each other, hissing at each other. And that is neat. Now, these red bandages are cool. They go off to the sides and to the back in all sorts of different ways. But I don't know if they're completely accurate. They're all red. I think in most media that you would see Mumm-Ra's bandages on his helmet kind of alternate between red and black. But these are all red. But if you don't like that, you can take a Sharpie a hold of it, and I'm sure that will do you fine. And underneath these bandages, you have the rest of Mumm-Ra's helmet, and it is done in a base black, and it covers the back of his neck, so that is cool. Coming back to the front of Mumm-Ra's face, and zooming in, we can see Mumm-Ra's evil black eyes with the red pupil in the middle, and that is nice, coming down to a hideously open mouth with some white sharp teeth, and you can see kind of a blue tongue in there. Now, I don't think anything in the mouth is painted. I think it's just that dark blue plastic as the skin tone, but because the way it is, it does look like it's all black in there, and that is really, really cool. And coming back out, there is nothing else that we have not seen before with this base body, and this is pretty much what Mumm-Ra's body is gonna be. They did give him a little bit of armor, but before we went into that, I wanted to take a look at this head on the body, and it looks really nice. And for articulation's sake, the head can go around 360 degrees. He can look down, he can look up, he can wiggle waggle left and right, and that is really cool. And the mouth on Mumm-Ra, unlike Skeletor, does not open and close, and you can't push it. This is a hard sculpt, so it's just going to be staying in that position. And I think that's pretty cool. All right, let's find some armor for Mumm-Ra. So the first thing Mumm-Ra has in the way of, quote, armor is basically going to be these bandage pieces, and they're really nicely done. You have this really large one here, and it will cover up his neck, and it will go around his waist. As you can see, it's kind of got some bandages going down the front, and then on the back you have these neat little ports that they molded in so that the cape can fit into, and that is really nice. And then he has this second little armor piece or bandage piece, and this will go along his arm, and it can go on either arm really, but the instructions have you putting this on his left arm, and that's pretty cool. He looks all mummied up there, and that is neat. And this is a great simple look for Mumm-Ra with his bandages, and I love it. All right, let's move down a little bit, and that will bring us to Mumm-Ra's skirt. on, as it were. And it's a nicely done piece. It will go around his waist, and it's done in a two-tone coloring. You got the blue over here, and you got the red, and then you have a base of gold down here to kind of be like a trim, and that is really neat. And technically you could put it on Mumm-Ra either way, but traditionally you're going to have it with the blue on this side and the red over here. So that would be my left, your right on the figure. This is the way it's supposed to go, and it looks really good with him, with his bandages, and that is gonna be a cool looking Mumm-Ra, and with his skirt. All right. And finally, you have Mumm-Ra's cape. You have the right side, the left side, and they will just plug onto the back where we saw the ports, and it could kind of fold in really small, or you can extend it to where it's kind of wide. I don't know if you want to go all the way up like you did with Skeletor and have kind of like wings, because we know for a fact that Mumm-Ra didn't actually have wings, but it's up to you. However you want to have your Mumm-Ra wearing this thing is gonna be fine, because it's your toy and you can have it however you want. I just think it looks great. And this is a very, very cool Mumm-Ra, the ever-living figure. I love it. It looks great. There is just a few things I think I would change on it. When you look up here at the neckline, the main armor, I think needed to be cut a little more than it was. I think if you cut this inside plastic to where it's just this one strip at the base of the neck, I think that would be good, because I don't really like all this white up here. I think if you just saw his skin, that would be great. And you see that that is not there on the little white diagram paper, and it's not there on the character card, which you'll get to in just a second. But I think a little bit of adjustment needs to be made, and I think I will color some of these strips black, because I think that would just look cool. I'm going to go ahead and make some adjustments and see what he looks like. All right, I'll be right back. And we're back, and using a little razor knife, I was able to really easily carve out the top of the neck piece and get this little extra plastic out of the way, and he looks a lot better, I think, with that big piece missing, so you can actually see his actual neck. And I did go ahead and paint some of the straps black. Again, this is going to be preference, and I wish I could have had a paint pen or something, but you know, it got what I wanted to do and kind of see what it would look like just painted. I might go back later when I actually had some better black to paint it with, but I still think that that did a really good job, you know, changing the look of Mumm-Ra up just a little bit. All right, and that is what your Mumm-Ra is going to look like. Moving on. And for Mumm-Ra's accessories, he has the Sword of Plunder. And this is a beautiful sculpted and molded piece. It measures approximately 8 inches long from this tip to this tip. You got a nice silver for the blade. I love that paint job. And in the middle, you just got some bronzy gold looking plastic, and it is molded very nicely. You got the dueling snakes on each side of the handle, and then you got some detail here in the handle. And Mumm-Ra can hold this and attack with this if he's so inclined, and that is really neat. And of course, yes, you can give it to Skell-Ra if so inclined to do so. This is an awesome sword, and I'm glad that they included it for Mumm-Ra or Skell-Ra, you know, whatever. Alright, and that will bring us to these awesome character cards. Now there are 2. You have a Skeletor card and a Mumm-Ra card, and I will zoom in. You can see Masters of the Universe, Thundercats up there at the top right. Nice picture of Skeletor. evil lord of destruction, and I will scroll in, and you could pause the video here, read that to your heart's content, and then we will move over and see Mumm-Ra, the ever-living, and Masters of the Universe and Thundercats up there top right. Nice picture of Mumm-Ra, the ever-living, and then we have a brief read-up of him that I will scroll in on. You could pause the video, read that to your heart's content, and that is some pretty neat cards, and they're very large and thick, so yeah, pretty cool. And if you take them and you turn them around, you get a nice picture of Skell-Ra himself. So that is pretty neat. So you can have either Mumm-Ra and Skeletor, or you could have a nice picture of Skell-Ra. Yeah, and that is going to be your character cards. Very cool. All right, moving on. And for your Mumm-Ra comparisons, here you have the Masters of the Universe Thundercats Mumm-Ra with the Super 7 Ultimates Mumm-Ra and the Funko Savage World Thundercats Mumm-Ra. And they all look pretty neat, but you can definitely tell the differences in size and sculpt and mold, going to like an $80 figure to a $30 figure to like a $10 to $12 figure. So they all have cool aspects of Mumm-Ra, I think, but you're going to have to decide which one you think is the better look for your collection. And it may be a tough decision, but I do think that the Masters of the Universe Thundercats Mumm-Ra is a bit more brighter and pops a little more with the colors than the others. But that's just my opinion. Yours may vary. And that is going to be what your Mumm-Ras look like together. Sorry I don't have the original Mumm-Ra. I just never got a hold of him. And for Mumm-Ra comparison, here he is with the Mattel Cartoon Collection He-Man and the Super 7 Skeletor. Now, he measures really good with the Cartoon Collection He-Man because they're from the same company, obviously. And I think if I got the Cartoon Collection Skeletor, he would be a little taller than the Super 7 here. But at the time, this is the only one I wanted. So, taking a look at them, I think they're really good. They definitely look like they belong in each other's worlds. And at this time in the canon of Thundercats, I think Mumm-Ra has been defeated, so I don't really know what he's really up to. We might see him in the next wave of figures in the second part of the comic. So I don't think Mumm-Ra is out of it just yet. So I think it'll be cool to see him come back, or how they plan on using him. All right. And for comparison, here you have Mumm-Ra facing down against the Thundercats, Lion-O, Chitara, and Battle Catman. And they are really good, closing in that gap, coming in real close, looking at them. They are very nice with their new armor on, and Battle Catman, he does come up a little taller than Lion-O does when it comes to fighting Mumm-Ra, so that might be a good matchup there. But you know, you're always going to have Lion-O and Mumm-Ra duke it out, and that is really, really neat. Alright, and for comparison, here you have Mumm-Ra versus the Thundercats in their regular attire, and that looks great. I'm almost tempted to throw out the He-Man characters altogether and just have me a new line of Thundercats because this looks really, really great. And this has been the Mattel Masters of the Universe Thundercats crossover deluxe Skell-Ra figure, and this was a very unique and interesting take on a Skeletor / Mumm-Ra hybrid, amalgam if you will, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I love the colors. He's very bright when it comes to his face and those horns on top of his head. The nice bright blues for the body, and the armor bits are a little bit darker purple, but that matches Skeletor, so I'm not unhappy about that. I do think they missed a great opportunity to turn those horns and that face glow in the dark and have a little red glow in the dark paint on those pupils. That would just be creepy and cool, and maybe we'll get an exclusive down the road somewhere if this series does really well. But for the most part, it's a neat, unique concept, and I think it did really well based on just it coming from this line. The articulation a little hindered in the head when he has that hood on. The head can move, it's just going to be a little difficult because you can't get a good grip on it. But other than that, the rest of the articulation is good. He can move and bend any kind of which way that you want him. As far as accessories, he didn't really come with anything. It would have been cool if they gave him a Havoc staff or at least a book, because in the comic book that we get with the other figures from this series, you can see Skeletor reading from it and calling forth the ancient spirits of evil. So I think throwing in a book for him would be okay. I mean, you could say he could use the Sword of Plundar as an accessory, but again, I think that's mostly a Mumm-Ra accessory. So all in all, I think the concept of Skell-Ra, Skeletor with the powers of Mumm-Ra, was really neat. And Skeletor kind of looks like Mumm-Ra in his decayed form, if you really want to think about it. But anyway, that was Skell-Ra. He was a great figure. Very happy with this cool new concept. And that brings us to Mumm-Ra, the ever-living. And this was an awesome Mumm-Ra figure. It has been such a long time since any of the main toy companies have given us a Mumm-Ra. I mean, you got the high-end toy companies like Super 7 and Mondo and a couple others, but when it comes to the regular mainline guys, it's been years. I can't even remember when the last time is that we got a Mumm-Ra. And this did not disappoint. He looks great. He looks exactly like Mumm-Ra should. I like the colors. I did adjust the headdress strips. I did paint half of them black so it would look a little more cartoon accurate, I think. And when it comes to the bandages, I did make this cut right here to make it look a little better. However, when you make this cut right here, and although it does look good, it does bring a little bit of support off of this main piece, and the back that holds the cape does kind of slouch a bit. So if you cut this, be careful, because it's not going to be as sturdy as if this was a solid piece, being able to balance the weight against his neck. It's not a bad thing. It still looks good. It just feels a little wobbly now, and that's my fault. But other than that, it's a great looking Mumm-Ra. And I'm not going to talk about the articulation because it's the same articulation, but he can move his head, unlike Skell-Ra. And he comes with the Sword of Plundar. It looks great in his hand, and I just love this Mumm-Ra figure. It looks so good, and he looks so good with the other Thundercats in their regular outfits. And like I said before, I think I'll just get rid of the He-Man characters and just keep the Thundercats, because they look really good, and all the He-Man characters are kind of alternate versions of themselves. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. This was a great figure. I loved it. This was a great set. It was a bit of a hassle swapping them back and forth to get the shots I wanted. And the truth is, you actually really do need two of these guys. And right now at Bots and Books, we are giving away this Masters of the Universe Thundercats crossover Skell-Ra figure. And this is mint in box. And you can see they look good together. So there you are, finally getting Mumm-Ra and Skell-Ra together in the shot. So that being said, check out the giveaway video, which is the video right before this one, and you can enter for a chance to win this guy. At the time of this recording, a couple days left for you to enter and win your very own Skell-Ra. And like you can see, it's not this Skell-Ra. This is my Skell-Ra. You can't have this Skell-Ra. You'll get this Skell-Ra, and he'll be yours to have and hold and alter however you want. All right, guys, and that's it. That is the video. I hope you enjoyed the Masters of the Universe Thundercats crossover deluxe Skell-Ra / Mumm-Ra figure. And if you are looking for this guy, you can enter to win him in our contest like I just mentioned, or you can find him on the shelves right now, and he will go anywhere between $30 to $35 depending on where you pick him up. So if you are looking, happy hunting. And that's it, guys. That's the video. Don't forget to enter the giveaway. And on Sunday, September 21st, we will be giving away our Skell-Ra. All right, guys. Have a great night. And until next time, keep playing.